Madyson Thill is our next student. She is from Pleasantville and attends high school at Pleasantville High School. Madyson is the daughter of Amy and Brian Thill, and her project is Pleasantville Community Garden.
Hey, I'm Madyson Thill. I'm from Pleasantville. It's a little south of Des Moines, and I created our Pleasantville's first ever community garden. So the creation of the garden came from my ag teacher. I took a horticulture class in the spring, and he put a little bug in my ear that there was, I was like, I wish we could just plant these and grow them ourselves. Our horticulture planted the seed and grew the little tiny ones, and now we're selling them to everyone else. And I want to see where this goes. And I took up gardening, and I love gardening. And so he just planted that little bug in my ear because he knew I was excited about that. And there is this grassy lot behind our library that someone attempted a community garden the year before, but they had 3 people, and it wasn't very successful. So I contacted the girl who tried to create the community garden, and she goes, the thing was, we couldn't get people to help us. We live in town. We don't have a tiller. We don't have the water access. That's what we're missing. And so I went back to my ag teacher, and I said, the reason why this isn't working, we don't have any supplies. So we sat down together and wrote up a grant, and just for the heck of it, see if maybe we can get some money. And we ended up getting the grant. It was $1,000 to do with whatever we wanted with it related to the community garden. So so I had the idea. I was ready to go. I had the grant money. And so since there was only 3 people last year, I was like, okay, some goals to set out. I want to have 10 people involved with the garden. And I want to do a couple group things together, just bring the community, make it a community garden. And my big goal was to attract the youth, like little 5th and 6th graders, to figure out the passion that I have. So initially it was just getting the word out. Okay, now I have $1,000, I have to do something with this. I can't pocket it. So then I created this flyer, and I put it all around town in the elementary. I sent it out in our school newsletter, trying to get people. I need like 8 people to do this with me. And so I gave them a description, I gave them a sample. I had 8 spots I just had to fill, and one of them was going to be the FFA. And all of a sudden, I had people. I had people coming like crazy, and I ended up with 22 people contacting me saying, we want a spot, or we want to help, what can we do? And my principal came to me, he goes, I have a tractor tiller, can I till up your garden for you? And I was like, absolutely, I need a big space. It'd be hard with a little tiller that's this wide to make that whole space. So he came and tilled up that whole spot for me, and then another community member said, I've got compost, can I spread compost on it? I was like, absolutely, that'd be wonderful, because this lot has just been growing grass. I want it to grow beautiful vegetables. So after I had 22 people, all of a sudden I was like, well, I can't do my 8-person map anymore. I'm going to need to keep adding spots. And as I had people keep contacting me, I kept adding more spots and making it bigger, and then I had to be more specific where the spots were. And then after that, I was like, rules. We're going to need some rules. So I looked all over online at what are the specifics. How can the community use this garden and nothing gets stolen and everything works out well? And I actually found this from the American Gardening Association, and it was a free printout, and I manipulated it a little bit, but for the most part kept it the same. I said, I am the authority, you'll receive a warning. My plot is this big, don't grow things over 6 foot tall because your neighbors will get mad. But other than that, it was rules. And then I also had some rules just like right inside the shed, because the tiller is an expensive piece of equipment, they need to know that, and don't pick from other people's spot and stuff like that. And then I just added my little expense report. So along with people coming saying, what can we do, what can we help, the woodworking teacher says, hey, can we build you a shed? You can pay for it for us, but can we build you a shed? And I was like, yes, that sounds awesome. So they built this shed, and then I bought red paint and painted it red. And then the Trojan Iron Works made me a sign. And then the next part, after I had this nice shed, I got to go shopping at Menards with all that money. And that was fun. I got a tiller. That's okay. Okay, I got a tiller, and I got some shovels and a little gardening wand and hoses and the shovels and everything, and then there's me painting it. It actually took me 3 days. That was harder than I thought it was going to be. And then I got wood chips, and I just marked out the spots because everyone just specified what they want. I had spots from 4x4 to 10x10. And I just marked out the spots. It's kind of hard to see here, but that says spot number 14 written in there. And then everyone just planted. And this is the youth group Jamie put together of elementary students doing their plot. And it was specified in the rules for things not over 6 foot, but I think that sunflower was, but it was beautiful, so we just let it go. No one complained. And there's some popcorn growing as well, and along with some other things. And for the most part, I had very positive reviews. Everyone was like, this is awesome. I'm glad I had the opportunity. Like this family in this picture of this little girl, they didn't have anything, but they wanted to garden. So having this spot, they had a tiller and everything. All they had to do was plant stuff, and they really loved it. So I'd only used about $600 of the grant money with all the stuff I bought the shed and the garden supplies, and I couldn't just pocket it. As I said, I have to use this money. So for our town festival on June 5th, I decided to have a watermelon feed right outside the garden so people knew where it was at. And just get the attention around, know what I was doing. And that was pretty successful, and I had Sarah, one of the people involved in the garden, come help me cut up watermelons. And we cut up 40 watermelons that day and ended up with 7 left. So it was very sticky. And as I said, I had really good reviews. I happened to work at People's Bank in Pleasantville, and this lady brought in a beautiful vase of flowers and said, I'm so thankful for this opportunity. Thanks for your hard work in putting this together. And that was really cool. And here's just some other impacts that people have emailed me about. It's like, you can just read through those. They're pretty good. The bad, well, this is the first time ever creating a community garden, so not everything went as planned. We had one very helpful community member who was helping weed and stuff like that, who never signed a contract or talked to me anything. She was just weeding. And she ended up tearing out the youth group's exotic carrots. She thought they were weeds. And the little girls were a little devastated, but we're all just like, it's okay. But she was also watering other people's spots, but she was just very helpful. And I had 3 people who didn't commit to their spot. They signed the contract and everything, and then they never planted, and they kind of grew up in weeds. But we just had to had other people maintain it. And sorry, library, the water bill was really high this year because the rain shut off in June and never came back. So I'm gonna have to deal with that when I get home. So my goals, I did get accomplished. I did get my watermelon feed accomplished, and I did get way more people than expected. And obviously, I didn't get a lot of stuff done. I didn't observe and enforce the rules very well. I noticed that people weren't planting in those one spots, and I never got a hold of them. I knew about the helpful community member, but I called her once and just said, hey, people just mentioned a couple of things, but I could have enforced the rules better. I really wanted this aimed at youth, and there were just a couple people involved in that youth group. I didn't get my garden salsa event accomplished. I didn't get a group picture. I don't have someone secured to take over, but I think Sarah will eventually. She's really tight with me. She's been helping me. She's been my rock through this whole project, so I think she'll be able to help me. I'm going to hopefully pass that on to her in this next year trainer, and then she can take over from there. And with this all, what the idea started was I wanted an FFA spot to plant all these horticulture plants, and so many people came, and I had my principal till up the spot, enlarge it twice, and I didn't get an FFA personal spot because it just didn't happen. But for Hoover's Legacy, he was a humanitarian. He liked providing for people and providing for your own with a garden. There's the best thing you can do. It's just plant the seed, put the hard work into it, and then get a beautiful product out of the end. And then sharing of your food with other people, and just the hard work of keeping a garden. And that's all I got for you. There's the garden, and there's Sarah on the left. She's a very nice lady. But that's all I got for you. Thank you.
Did the food that was grown, was that shared with other people, or was that primarily consumed with the folks that took care of the
It was
plots?
primarily with the folks. Everyone, that was one of the big decisions when creating this was it going to be just a single plot with lots of stuff and everyone shared, or if it was their own plots. And I just eventually made the executive decision that everyone has their own plots. But I do know that one of the ladies was donating her tomatoes to the food pantry, and another lady donated some tomatoes to a student who wanted to learn how to make salsa in our FFA group.
And my second question, did any of the community leaders, like the mayor or the police chief or city council members, did any of them participate or visit?
Actually they did not. But as I said, this first year, we're gonna grow from this. We've got much more space as we go west there, so it can only get bigger. Any other?
What was your summer for maintaining the garden? How much did you have to check into it and keep an eye on it?
It actually wasn't too bad. I could check on it once a month. If anyone had any issues, they just called me, which was just the one thing with someone pulled out all of our carrots, and we eventually figured out who that was. But it really wasn't that bad, and everyone worked very well together, and I only had positive things.
What thoughts of yours, if any, occurred to either encourage the 3 people who did not use their plots to use them, or to replace them with somebody who might, for example, you?
I had one person, I had 2 people that I turned away. They contacted me, and it was like the end of May, and I already had the spots people were already planting. And I said, I'll put you on my list, and you'll be the first people I'll call next year to have a spot. And the one person replied to me and said, we just didn't get around to it and everything. And I was like, that's okay, life happens. But next year, if you want a spot, you need to be committed to it. And then the one lady I just never got a hold of. She was just unresponsive. I don't know if she changed her email address or phone number, but I could not get a hold of her. So if she contacts me next year, I'll just kind of have the same talk. If you're going to, people want in, so if you're going to be in, be all in. Thank you guys.